Hell yeah. Larry's born and ready, he says. I'll
Oh,
fly. Boom. He's ready to come back. He's ready to take over the world. He's my special guest, Larry Dvoskin. We just listened to a gift that Larry brought us to the Jeremiah show. We premiered it here first. Sammy Hagar, uh, Larry Dvoskin. It was the unplugged version.
yeah. With a lot of
Um,
harmonies, like Crosby, Stills, and Nash, which you don't think of when you think of Sammy. You think of rock and roll.
I loved it though. I mean, it's beautiful. I really kind of perked up when I heard it for the first time earlier today. All right. Well, so Larry, welcome back. We
Thank you.
teased everybody before the break, and if you want to just say goodbye and just leave them thinking, fine. But I'd prefer to hear you talk to us about read from your. Is it a chapter? Is it a short story? It's called
Short
Naked
story.
Lunch with
Short
uh,
story. You know, I'm
Naked Lunch with Sir Paul McCartney. Here it is. Go ahead, Larry.
okay.
Sorry.
So, the Hamptons in July are elegant, sublime, a lot of traffic, a lot of very successful people, pushy and self-important. But you see rock stars grazing in their national environment, in their natural environment, and no one bothers them because it's like everybody is a billionaire rock star. So I'll start it. Now, obviously, the title is a clickbait thing, Naked Lunch with Sir Paul McCartney. I wasn't completely naked. I did have shorts on, but I'll read the first paragraph or two and then just tell you the rest. East Hampton, New York, is the summer playground of the wealthy and their admirers. Even in the Hamptons, accidentally coming face to face with the most famous musician on earth is nothing to see here special. Early one crisp July morning, I was in a yoga class doing a handstand, upside down like a bat. While hanging on for dear life, I looked across the room to see a face peering through the window, but all I could see was like half a face, like an upside down, like nose and mouth. But that nose and mouth looked curiously like Paul McCartney. And I thought to myself, that can't be. Like, why would Sir Paul be peering through the window like a peeping Tom? It didn't make sense. But after yoga, I ran out quickly, and directly behind the yoga studio was a vegan cafe. And sitting all alone was Paul, just sitting there. And he made eye contact. He looked up and smiled at me. And you got to understand, I'm covered in sweat. I'm like shiny. I have nothing on me. And like, I'm just in shorts. And it was like an involuntary muscle, like when you have to throw up. I just lunged at the poor guy and was like, I teach your song yesterday in my NYU songwriting class. And he was like, what? I said, yesterday you start on a G note, but the chord is an F. So it's like clashy poo. It's like yesterday. Instead of yesterday, it's yesterday. And then the all is a weird A note against an E minor all. Like if you put that together, it doesn't make sense. And he kind of looked up at me like, who is this bizarre, crazy man? But speaking of these very fine-tuned nuances about music that he understood. And so he said, why don't we talk about it, And you usually don't see a guy like that alone. And so I just sat down and we started talking. And, I started like asking him all the questions that I have had as a fan. And, like, Hey Jude, I always had a suspicion. I mean, he confirmed that it's about, John's first son, Julian. But I thought, the English aren't like Americans. They say things in a roundabout way. Like Paul couldn't say like, I love you, John, you're my bro. Like he couldn't do that. So like was Julian taking a sad song and making it better? I mean, that seems to be like what John's job was. But he insisted that that was the case. And while we're sitting there talking, he orders lunch for me and reading these dozas, and people are walking their dogs, with their kids and their expensive like Cartier watches and jewelry and things. And they're like looking and they're like, oh yeah, there's Paul McCartney. And oh yeah, oh, there's a bird over here. Like nothing special is happening. And I'm like singing a few lines at him here and there thinking, do not sing at Paul McCartney. Like, Paul McCartney, you were the guy who in high school sang so bad after one rehearsal with your high school band. They took the microphone away and said, just play keyboards. You're like we got to cover it. So we had this fun talk because I couldn't like get an autograph or take a selfie. Like I was just this sweaty, almost naked person. And so, we talked about a lot of things and we got into some deep stuff about quantum physics. And he felt like that, like in his generation, there was Carl Sagan. We have other people now, you know, Bill Nye, the science guy, but Carl Sagan talked about that we are as humans the stuff of the stars. Like you literally have stardust in you from stars that burned out hundreds of billions of years ago, and the molecules of a saber-toothed tiger. So there was this cosmic woo-woo thing just hanging with Paul. And we talked about this for an hour, and then after a while it was like time to go. And I broke away from him first. I'm like, I'm really nervous. I'm sitting. It suddenly dawned on me: you're sitting with Paul McCartney, shirtless, sweaty. He's buying you lunch. Like, get out while there's a good vibe. So I kind of just
Smart.
you know. And then for another time, this comes from a book I'm writing called Life is Larry, and it's something people just started saying, like you said, the ultimate insiders. Like I started posting photos online, and instead of like fall or autumn, I was like Life is Larry spring or summer. And it's an idea of just that if you're open to being that leaf in the river, if you're open to not only the bad things and reacting to them and dealing with them, but the good, like you have all this possibility that keeps opening. Like, okay, you missed We Are the World, you're not famous, but then there's another one, another time. Like, or everyone else met Paul McCartney in New York over time and you didn't, and suddenly like you're almost naked, sweaty, like singing at him when you shouldn't be singing at that. Like, let that guy sing and you ask questions. So that brings me to Al Jardine, and we have this song, Wish, that he and I wrote originally years ago. And the lyric about it is about, I wrote it about my mentally ill mother. Wish that she could be that person when I was much younger that was full of life and full of her senses and was a school teacher teaching thousands of kids, and doing marvelous things. And he was inspired by when he was young with Carl Wilson, who had passed away, and Dennis Wilson, who had passed away, and Brian, who had been incapacitated, for so long, and remembering them. And it was almost like remembering that part of yourself, that innocence, that looking out at life that is so full of endless possibility, and remembering that part of yourself that has that innocence. So that's what really Wish is inspired by. And another goosebump moment.
Yeah, beautiful. Larry, you are a storyteller. You are an inspiration. You really, really had a great conversation with you today. Just listening to your perspective on life. One of the things that you mentioned, I just want to mention in this conversation with Paul McCartney, is how you feel that by just being there, a person can give that energy to inspire and elevate the room and elevate the students. And when you were talking about your mom, I have a feeling she did that quite often, that she has your spirit as well and elevated her students. And just by her being here on earth and teaching, and the time that you got to spend with her, she elevated the world. She elevated everything around her.
Well, she certainly elevated me, and then we carry it forward. And last thing I want to say is that people wonder, like, if you're a musician, you meet someone like Paul McCartney, like, how did I feel? And I felt like Christmas morning. Like, instead of being nervous or intimidated, like, he has given so much love for so many years to so many hundreds of millions of people, that he's like a son, at least on a good day when he's not in a bad mood. Like on a beautiful sunny July day, he was just radiating this beautifulness. And I just felt healed. People talk about the saints and the prophets and you get in their presence. Like I just felt so down to earth, normal and healed in a invisible way, just chatting and then just leaving like two strangers who met and parted, and that was enough.
Well, from your stories, from the way that he reacted to you, and the conversations that were sparked between you two, it sounds to me that you were a breath of fresh air. You were an inspiration to him. You woke him up a little, and that he became creative with you, and you guys started thinking of possibilities and what ifs, and so you did that for him as well. I bet he has not forgotten that moment. I'm sure that sounds like a very special interaction. And Larry Dvoskin, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for doing the show. I hope you do a couple more with me. Come back and tell some more stories.
Amen.
and
Um,
and I got to get to your party.
yeah.
Okay, so here we are. Here we are again. We're going to premiere an unreleased Al Jardine of the Beach Boys song. It's called Wish. Here it is in its entirety, a gift from our friend here, Larry Dvoskin. Thank you so much, sir. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and are inspired. You've inspired me for sure. All right,
Same
everybody.
back, same back
Listen,
at you.
thank you. Listen more and evolve. And everyone have a great day. Thank you so much.